It's a routine engineering and repair mission out in deep space. You and your crew have been dispatched following a standard SOS after a communications blackout on one of the oldest surfing Planet Cracker class vessels, the USG Ishimura. You have a slight issue with the automated docking, but you manage to make it safely aboard the Ishimura. So far, so good. Except, there's nobody there. The place seems deserted. As you make your way to the flight deck, the automated quarantine gets triggered, sending alarms and locking you and your team in. Suddenly, one of the air vents seems to have blown open. In the darkness of the room, a weakly humanoid silhouette creeps in and, before you know it, one of your teammates is dead. The others open fire. The room is suddenly engulfed in utter chaos. Before you realize, the air vent closest to you also seems to have burst open. Out comes a shambling mass of meat and bone with two sharp blades in place of arms. Panicked, you run. As you rush down the narrow corridors, you hear the sound of bones bashing through the metal tubes of the ventilation ducts above you, along with what seems to be a low guttural moaning. Finally, at the end of the corridor, an elevator. You rush in and turn to get a glimpse of the monstrosity right behind you as the elevator door is closing. It's human, or at least something resembling one. As the door is about to shut close, the creature slams its bladed arms between the doors, trying to force itself in. Alone and unarmed, you can only helplessly look on as the morbid fear of imminent death starts to set in. The creature forces the doors open, just as it takes a step in, ready to tear you apart. The elevator door slams shut, severing the limbs of the creature and pushing its body out as it falls, apparently to its death. Congratulations, you just survived an attack from one of the most vicious creatures in the universe, a Necromorph Slasher. Hey guys, what's up? This is Rei here with GFC Talks, and in today's episode we're gonna be taking a look at the slasher variant of the Necromorphs. I'm gonna be breaking this down into 3 segments where I talk about the appearance, the abilities and weaknesses, and the origins of these creatures. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. Slashers are the most commonly encountered variant of the Necromorphs, and are some of the most versatile forms created by the marker. The slashers mostly retain their overall humanoid shape, with the most striking alterations to their bodies being the 2 large blades that have grown out of the arms. Now there are many subvariants of the slashers with varying levels of changes to the body, but the general morphology of the slashers is consistent across them all. They have 2 arms ending in sharp blades made of restructured bones, a slightly hunched posture, and a slow gait that makes them appear almost crippled. This, however, does not mean that the slasher is slow by any means, as it is quite the trickster and has an almost animal-like behavior and intelligence, where it will sneak up on unsuspecting victims or play dead until an unwary engineer comes in close enough for its blades. If found out from a distance, however, it can break into a sprint and can close the gap surprisingly fast. Another striking feature of the slasher is the additional pair of arms that grow out from inside their abdominal cavity. This happens because as the necromorph infection acts on the body, it converts the additional tissues that the body no longer needs, such as the intestines, into more muscle mass, giving the slashers enhanced strength. This extra muscle is also distributed in seemingly random ways throughout the body, causing uneven growths and reshaping the body in strange ways, resulting in a grotesque overall appearance. Unsurprisingly, this process of muscle reconfiguration is common across all the variants. Moving on to their capabilities, the slashers are some of the most versatile necromorphs around. While they're heavily altered during their transformation, they still retain a mostly humanoid body structure, which means they can still move around and navigate through complex environments just like regular humans, but are also able to move in very inhuman ways, able to scurry about rapidly like an insect using their claws as a second pair of legs. Along with this, they're also able to adapt to just about any environment known to man, including the vacuum of space, where they're able to function perfectly fine despite the lack of gravity and a pressurized atmosphere. On Tavolantis, they're seen using their claws to tunnel through the ice and jump out in surprise attack, kinda similar to the graboids from Tremors. Finally, as they're vulnerable to attacks from a distance and can be easier to deal with compared to other necromorphs, they also appear to have some degree of intelligence in order to make up for these weaknesses, though this could just as easily be the marker directly influencing the creature to act that way. The clearest example of this animalistic intelligence is seen when they play dead until an unsuspecting prey ventures just a bit too close, and then they spring into action using their massive claws to slice the poor human in half. Apart from this, they stalk their victims and try to sneak up on them more often than just charging head on like a mindless zombie. Along with this, they're also able to move around undetected using hidden paths, such as through ventilation ducts and other small spaces that they can crawl through. And since they don't breathe, they can stay hidden inside these spaces as long as they need to without any issues. Coming to their weaknesses, the slashers' only real major weakness is their humanoid form. Their limbs are wide open to attacks, and if all their limbs are dismembered, they die. And even though the necrotic flesh still remains functional, they can no longer cause any real harm anymore. Now, slashers are one of only 3 necromorphs we see being transformed on the screen, so there's not much speculation needed about how they form. But there is one specific detail that I've got a theory for. Now, while this may not be canon, it's just something of a hypothesis I have on the differences in the forms that we see. While there's multiple subvariants of the slasher, there's 2 most common forms we see throughout the games. They're mostly the same type of creature with just one major difference. One type has the arms fused to the torso and the bladed arms sprout from where the shoulders are supposed to be. The other type is where the arms don't fuse and the blades emerge right from the palms of the creature and the torso is ripped open with 2 new smaller arms jutting out from within the open cavity. So my theory here is that the forms we see with the ripped open torsos are the ones that would have been transformed instantly by an infector variant, while the form that has the arms fused to the torso was transformed by the marker signal gradually after its death. This is because as the arms fused, they appear to have become stiff due to rigor mortis setting in post-mortem, while the necromorphs with the open torso appear to have lost their clothing and parts of their skin due to the transformation having been so sudden and violent. But again, that's just my theory, guys. That's all I've got for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what you think about this video and if you enjoyed it. Also, please hit that subscribe button and be sure to click on the bell icon to get notified about new videos. See you in the next one.